Well, welcome, 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 beautiful hearts. This is day two of our Quantum Conversations experience. It is a way for you to connect with the teacher even deeper and actually engage on a fresh live level in this episode. Peter Tung is one of the most prominent speakers and teachers of the Gene Keys, created by Richard Rudd. In fact, the two of them are friends and they talk a lot. And the information about the Gene Keys and how it applies to our world is extremely helpful. If you watched yesterday's presentation on the Aquarian human, you know we are not going backwards, but we are full force going towards new earth. This means new earth principles of love and honesty, compassion, and it's only going to get better. Peter, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
It's my absolute pleasure. And you're on fire already, Lauren. We haven't started yet, and you're already there. It's great.
Well, I just wanted to say, in that Aquarian human that originally aired on February 22nd of this year, I changed my life from that. I made decisions that was quite empowering. And this is where we are, right? This is what I love. And this is where the gene keys in our own personal profile, but even for the collective, New Earth is here. New Earth is a frequency that we can feel into. What are your thoughts about that? And then we'll get going into the gene keys for it's the solstice Sunday and the rest of this year and beyond. What was that like for you when you get this information in your life?
Well, funnily enough, Lauren, for me, in my gene keys, I'm mainly a line two person. I have 5 line 2s, which means my inner world is a reflection of whoever I'm with at the time. So when I'm doing my gene key sessions, what you've just described is what's happened to the vast majority of people that I work with, where they've come to the realization that the old world they're in is no longer working and they've got to do something about it. But that in itself is a bit scary as well as being exciting, as you now know from what you did, because you went through that whole restructuring situation right then, didn't you? So
Mhm.
this is what everybody's got to do. And the dilemma that I'm finding are those people who've been in the corporate world successfully can now feel inside themselves, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. But they have life's responsibilities they've still got to handle. So how do I navigate my way out of that situation into what I really want to be doing with my life and still be able to meet my financial needs? That's been the biggest piece for me in this time period. But what I've been doing is knowing all this big energy was coming in, I've been deliberately slowing down and spending much time in nature and tuning in to what I'm feeling is taking place in the world. And so I've very much been on an inner, quiet, devotional journey to my own awakening as this plays out.
Thank you for sharing that. So we were talking before the show about June 1st, and let's start there because many of us are feeling that. We're feeling the weight of the world, right? And it got to a point the last year and into this year, we could all, empaths could feel the weight of the world. However, something happened on June 1st that I noticed. On June 1st, it was almost like a lull. Like it was almost like I don't want to go too much into it, but it was like things, it just was like a stop. And it to me, it felt like a reset because then the very next day, the energy in my heart just went boom. And then I could feel that in the collective of our audience, of a New Earth audience. I could feel that. And it's so much lighter right now. It feels like, and so then we're coming into the solstice, the second half of the year. And that's so significant because in the beginning of this year, and I think I mentioned this, I almost turned off the lights and threw in the towel,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Threw
I
in the
remember
towel,
that.
turned off the
Oh, yeah.
lights. But I hung in there. And so now the energy is totally different. What do you attribute that to? June
Well, I need
1st, you recognize
well, I'm going to be talking about it from my perspective, but I do want to mention, first of all, Dr. David Clements, Do you know of him?
Tell me more. Why is that
So,
name familiar? I've
so
heard of it.
he has just done a recent interview with Pam Gregory, the astrologer,
Oh, yes.
and
Okay.
he was this brilliant mathematician, genius, PhDs from both Oxford and Cambridge in the
Okay.
traditional world. And then he suddenly had this breakthrough of awareness where he had to let all of that go and step into the new energies. But he is one of the highest frequency people on the planet, without doubt. And this is what he said, Lauren, which ties in perfectly with what you've just said. And that what he said was in June and July, there are going to be these waves of consciousness coming in with two purposes. The first purpose is to lift off from deep within us the remaining residual stuff that needs to be cleared. So if people are experiencing stuff coming up, it's supposed to be coming up to be released. So whatever you do, don't push it back down. Don't get
Mm.
upset with yourself. Just let it dissolve away. Just let it go. Because if you can do that, the second aspect is what you've just described. We are going to be having experiences of sensations that we've never experienced on the planet before. There are no words to describe these feelings that we're going to be having. You've already had them. So when he talks about waves, the great news is like when you're surfing, if you miss a wave, it doesn't matter. There's another one coming. So this is going to be a series of waves, and there will be these lulls, these quiet times, and then another one will come. And all we've got to do is just be open to receive. The less we do now, the better this is going to be for us. And all we've got to do is align ourselves with Mother Earth and these energies. So that
Okay.
was his perspective, and it ties in perfectly with what we're going to be talking about later.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. And I'd like our audience to weigh in on this too in our Zoom. How have you been feeling? Does the audience resonate with this too? This June 1st, like the energy in June feeling different? Because I felt those waves. And I think the key thing to remember is to steer our consciousness. We get to steer our consciousness. So let's be very clear on what we want. And that means when we and you know what, Peter, it looks like for me and our audience, please weigh in on this. When we look out at the world, it is a buffoonery now. Okay?
Totally.
Who knows who knows what is real? AI generated content on YouTube is off the charts. What's real in that? On one hand, you've got people who have information to share and they use these tools to get a voiceover and a person, but yet that creates doubt with us. So we don't know what to trust as real. So guess what? That means we have to go within even more. How does one really tune in to what's real? How do you do that?
So the key thing that I want to mention, because you've already talked about it, is the empaths
Hmm.
are spending way too much time concerned about the outer world.
Okay.
All the people pleasers have got to stop. You're no longer to be a people pleaser, anyone. So now it's about your own personal, the word is sovereignty,
Okay.
coming back to your own truth within. We have to be very discerning and selective about who we listen to, who we pay attention to. And now
Hmm.
we've got to really feel, does this resonate with me inside? Because there's
Hmm.
so much distraction deliberately, in some cases, taking us away from that inner world. So we've got to be very determined to go
Hmm.
within and feel into what it feels like. And all, as you said, the buffoonery that's in the world, it is absolutely ridiculous. But what is happening, and this is part of what we're going to be talking about, is they are imploding on themselves. They are in self destruct mode. So, all these male leaders in the world who are fighting each other, they're like little schoolboys having temper tantrums. They're pathetic. And we have to see them as that. Sadly, they have control in the world at the moment, and there's lots of collateral damage. But this
Yeah.
is the only way we could clear out the dark side, and they're doing it for us. And now, the more they attempt, the more obvious it is. And hopefully, we can just smile and go, I know what that is. It's just another one. Goodbye. And the
Hmm.
more we can do that and focus on that inner world, the better. But we've got this incredible gift coming later that I'm going to talk about that's going to really help us.
Okay, great. We're going to get into that in just a moment. I do want to say, um, and Lynn, thank you, saying it's laughable. Um, if we can remember life is a game and we're playing a game, and if you laugh at a game or you throw the board up in the air, the thing is to laugh at it and to steer our consciousness to know within ourselves beyond a shadow of a doubt that what we are creating is true to our heart, right? I think that is really key. And I think that's this journey that we've been on. Even the first 6 months of this year was given us that opportunity. What are we creating? Because we were shown if we allow ourselves to be buffeted by those winds of change, then we're going to kind of be buffeted and feel bad. But if we can pull ourselves up and out of that and really focus within, it's going to get easier. We're going to be happier and we're going to see the mirror effect. This world inside of us, outside of us is better. So the key that I say one more time is don't let ourselves bobble from it. Don't let the outer world bobble us. That's like a lesson that we know. Everyone listening to this show for eons has been well aware of that fact, but this is our mastery level now. This is where we truly must master it. And we're being given a great opportunity to do that. Okay, so
So
let's
let's
talk
let's
about the
throw the
summer
let's throw
solstice.
let's throw the game board of life away and create our own new game. That's what this
Game,
is.
yeah, the game of sorry where you bump somebody off and they have to go home and start again and roll six to get out. That's over,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
And those rules and limitations placed upon us by those games are also over.
Okay. I see so many beautiful comments coming in. And one of the things that I want to say is that I'm not the only New Earth leader. Someone's mentioning you are the second New Earth leader say they wanted to throw in the towel. I know you guys, it almost broke me. And I went conspiracy theory level thinking, is somebody watching me what I'm doing? Who's behind this? But I realized, no, no, it's all the heart. And so get rid of that, get yourself out of the muck. We cannot give up. Everyone watching is a New Earth leader. Whether you believe it or not, you are. And so this is why we can't be adamant enough about the importance of this. All right, enough said. Thank you for that. Okay, Peter, let's
Okay,
go
so
into
what
the
I want
summer
to do,
solstice. Wow.
no,
Or you go
no,
first.
no,
You
not yet, not yet, not yet. I want to do a quick recap on the bigger perspective of what's been happening as people can really get this picture from a bigger view.
please.
Very briefly, but what I
Yes.
want to do is I want to go back to when I believe this really began to change. And that was back, and people will want to be thinking about what may have happened to them at this time or just after. And this was the total solar eclipse on April the 8th, 2024. If you remember, that eclipse was really big. People really tuned into it. And it came on land in Mazatlan, Mexico.
Mhm.
It traveled across the heartland of America and came out on the east coast of Canada. So it was linking Mexico, America, and Canada through that total solar eclipse. And it happened on the 8th of April. And that day is an Aries sign. And it happened in the 51st gene key. And the 51st gene key is the shadow of traumatic shock. It means whenever we've had a trauma in our life, we tend to armor ourselves off, put on some plate armor to protect ourselves from not having to experience that again in the future. But the city of that gene key is awakening. And on that day, there were 5 planetary alignments lined up. There was the sun, the moon, and the earth to make up the total solar eclipse, Chiron, the wounded healer, and the north node of the moon, our future destiny. So basically, what they were saying is it's time now to heal those wounds, dissolve the armor, step into our true awakening. That's when this really began to amp up then. And then you mentioned this year, so now I want to come forward to what did happen. And to me, the most amazing day of all was January the 18th, when we had the new moon in Capricorn. And on that day, we had all the personal planets lined up right at the end of Capricorn and the beginning of Aquarius. So have this image, because this is the key to me to it all. And that was Pluto, the planet of transformation, was already in Aquarius in the 41st gene key. The 41st gene key is the only start codon. It starts something off brand new. And my image is that there's a locked door. And Pluto has now got the key to unlock that door into the new Earth grid. So now just imagine then on that new moon, Pluto's standing at the gate, got the key, opens the door. Then over the next few days, those personal planets processed through that gate into that start codon. So Venus was the first one through, our personal feminine values and our relationships, followed by the moon, my new feelings about life, followed by the sun, our highest expression, followed by Mercury, our mind and our thinking processes, and at the back was Mars, the masculine energy of generating the energy for it. So it was almost like Mars was pushing all the others through. And that took place on January the 18th this year. Then we moved into that new moon in February, which was the year of the fire horse.
Mm-hmm.
So where all this fire and air energy came in, the galloping fire horse. But the fire horse didn't gallop to begin with because Mercury went retrograde. And my image was the fire horse racing along the beach, suddenly veering off into the ocean and being slowed down because Mercury was in Pisces. And it was saying, we got to make sure we've dealt with this old stuff before the horse can gallop, right? Then in April, we had this amazing situation on the new moon in Aries, where we had two what are called stelliums, 4 planets in the first few degrees of Aries and 4 planets in the last few degrees. So this is another big, big awakening opportunity to clear out the old and bring in the new. Then in May, we had the blue moons. We had the May the 1st and May 31st, which was setting you up for your June the 1st day. So all of this was the final clearing out, 2 full moons in the same month. Let it all go and now step through that gate into this new earth energy coming in, about releasing the old and welcoming in the new. So that's the background. There's loads more to it, but I don't want to get too complicated. But that's the backdrop. And then just on this last Sunday, we had the new moon in Gemini. Now, normally Gemini is about the buzzing of the bees of the mind. It's like, and we go through this very scattered energy. But then what happened on this new moon was we had a mental rewiring take place. So suddenly the mind cleared and went very quiet because it's now stepping into a whole new way of functioning. And then that was on Sunday. On Monday, Venus suddenly starts playing a massive role. So she moved out of Cancer into Leo. And then these 3 amazing things happened, which is going to be really important in our later discussion. But what's happening right now is the outer planets are very slow moving, and they are in the first few degrees of the sign they're in. So when something else changes sign, they come into aspects with those outer planets. So Venus stepped into Leo on Monday. So then she came into a sextile with Uranus. Uranus is all about sudden, unexpected opportunities to move further into our freedom. Tuesday, she came into a trine with Neptune. Neptune being our future spiritual evolution. And then today, it's funny we're doing this today, Lauren, because today is the challenging one, because today she's in an opposition to Pluto. And Pluto is about transformation. And this tension caused between them is the feminine and the old masculine patriarchy. So we are being asked to let go of our old egoic masculine mind and let the feminine come into full balance with the masculine. We're not destroying the masculine, we're bringing them into balance. But what we now need to do is allow our feminine intuition to lead the way and our masculine to carry it out on her behalf. So that's this 3-day period. So again, the people who are on the call want to pay attention to what's happened in these last 3 days. Because what we now need to do is to really tune into these astrological alignments, which are really helping us. So then we do move into the solstice on Friday, the 19th, is when the sun will move into the 15th gene key. And the 15th gene key is the gene key of the summer solstice, and it is the gene key of our connection to Mother Earth and nature. And it includes within it the Schumann resonance.
Wow.
Which has been off the charts over the last few months. When you look at the actual diagram, there's been these big patches of whiteout where it's
Wow.
gone beyond the measurement. It's so fast. But what
Okay, so
people,
let's just be clear for people. Schumann
yeah,
resonance, 7.8 hertz, the same
yeah,
as our Earth,
yeah,
and the same as the human frequency. The human
yes,
frequency is 7.8 hertz. When you have this, and we started noticing this way in 2012 and earlier than that, and then it would go up over 100. But
yeah,
what you're saying is that that is so white, it's off the charts. It's almost unmeasurable.
that's
What
right.
must that be doing to human consciousness if it's the Earth and us?
Well,
Wow.
okay, so there's two misunderstandings we need to get clear. The
Please.
Schumann resonance is a very low frequency. It's not a high frequency. So our natural rhythm is a low hum.
Mhm.
So the fact it's off the charts, it's still not a really high frequency, but it's high relative to our standard low level frequency, our humming. So what it does do, it creates this internal agitation where people can't sleep and you get this buzzy feeling inside the body. And all that's happening is Mother Earth is adjusting us to her own ascension.
Okay.
So what's really important to understand is the Earth is becoming a star.
Mhm.
And we are going to be going with her, which has never been attempted before. Humanity has never had the opportunity to be with Mother Earth when she goes through this transmission. So we are becoming our own stars within her complete and total star. So again, what we need to do when that happens is to just allow it to take place. It's okay. When I wake up in the morning now, quite often, my whole body is vibrating. And that could be a concern if you don't understand what it is. But I know that when I sleep, I know that work is being done on me to raise my frequency. So when I wake up vibrating, I just lie there for a few minutes and just allow it to be until it slowly dissipates and I get on with my day. So we've got to change our thinking around my internal feelings because whatever's happening right now is amping us up. Some people would call them ascension symptoms. We don't want to be silly about it. If there's something seriously wrong, we've got to act upon it. But generally speaking, most of the things that happen, if you go to the doctor doesn't have a clue because they're not traditional medical issues. They are ascension issues. They are raising our vibrational frequency. So we've got to pay careful attention to what it actually is and how long does it last and how do I feel being embraced by it.
You're a shining star, no matter
Yeah,
who you are. Yeah, you're a
exactly.
shining star. Many people, well, there's comments coming in that they're feeling that vibration right now. And as you were speaking, it's like, wow, okay. Let's allow that vibration and not get freaked out by it, but just know, wow, we feel better. Okay, go ahead. Thank you. I love that.
Oh, great. So Richard Rudd talks about this year being the year of the closing door. In other words, the old systems are no longer going to receive the energy they have in the past. So if we stay attached to anything from the past, it's not going to work. And that includes the corporate world. It's all going to fall apart. And I had a session recently with a movie director in Hollywood, and he said that Hollywood is just completely dissolving. People are leaving in droves because the way it used to work and all the abuse and the corruption and the flaws, it's no longer working. It's all
People are
over.
onto it. People are onto it.
Exactly. And that's going to be true in all aspects of life. So what we've got to do is close that door, as Richard says, and then focus on the new year. So in an interview he did recently, he talked about, he was asked the question about what the new earth energy was going to be. And it was all about surfing the waves. And that's what we're doing. We're surfing these waves of consciousness coming in, and we're playing with them and dancing with them. And occasionally we'll miss one or we'll fall off the wave. And
Or
it's
will fall
okay.
off.
It's okay. There'll be another one.
And some of us may not know how to surf, but we have to start small. And so, what does that mean? Let's go into this analogy because if we have a surfboard and we're going to be bobbling, it's like getting on a boat. We got to find our sea legs. And it feels like the last year has been teaching us what our sea legs are. What is that balance, right?
Right.
What is the balance? And then guess what? When you get the balance, now you can swing your foot out and you can really move
Exactly.
on that wave.
Yeah.
And some waves are going to come crashing down on you. What happens when a wave crashes down on you? Hold your breath or breathe.
Breathe,
Never hold your
breathe.
breath.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
the air out and rise above it. Let
Well,
your,
the
okay.
crashing waves are those people who challenge us, those people who think we've lost the plot, those people who tell us we've got it all wrong, and any triggers we have within our families and our relationships. Those are the crashings from the waves. And that's where you say we've got to navigate through them, holding our center, wobbling on the board, but keeping our balance and not allowing ourselves to be subjected to that. Because we are the ones who get it. And we've got to remain in that space. We also know that there's a forking in the path. So we know that some people are not going to get it and they don't want to get it. They believe that the old world safety and security is the way to go. And we've got to let them do that. It's got to be their free choice. We can't convince anybody who's not ready. Or that's another way we crash, because they'll just take us on and they'll challenge us. And it's a waste of your time and energy. So we only want to work with those people who get it or
Mm.
those people who are ready to get it. Now, then we come into all the dynamics of the family and how do we deal with that? Well, the same thing is true. Some will come with us, some won't. We've got to be compassionate and loving to those that don't get it, but don't waste our time trying to convince them of anything. It just gets worse for us.
Okay, very good. I just want to share that I was moved. I was going to go on a trip and do something for myself, which I did in April, but something stopped me. I felt the need to go to my family. So I'm about ready to go on a family and I've never really done this. I actually have walked away from my family, but now there's something I'm going, and this is really important. So to be in with your family and to allow them, like what you said, we're not pushing, we're not critiquing, we're not lecturing, we're being, right? We're being who we are. And if they don't get it, then we're not going to fight it. Just let it roll off our shoulders, right?
Right. Yeah. So this is the 33rd gene key, shadow of samsaras. And samsaras are the karmic loops that we go around time and time again in our family dynamics.
Mhm.
And so, when you do, say you're going to Christmas and you arrive and everything's wonderful, everybody's happy. And after about 3 days, all the other stuff kicks in. I only ever stay for 3 days over Christmas with my family for that reason, because I'm not avoiding it. I just know there's just no point once you get into that dynamic. So what we need to do, first of all, is prepare ourselves to know there are going to be some hiccups, there are going to
Mhm.
be some bumps, there are going to be some waves,
Mhm.
that we detach from the drama. That's the key. Take one
Mhm.
step back and watch it unfold, but not engage in it. So you can watch the dynamics between two other family members kicking back and forth, but you're not going to now come in. You're not going to save. You're not going to rescue. You're going to go, oh, I get this now. I see what that is. And the city of that gene key is revelation. So now
Mhm.
you have this clear aha. Oh, that's what that is. I get it now. And so you're no longer getting sucked into it. You're not getting into the codependence of it. So that's the way for you to manage that. It'll be interesting, but you also don't want to spend too much time in that company if it's that sort of tense. So you've got to find ways to escape and spend some time on your own to clear out those energies and rejuvenate and recover, and then come back in
Mhm. Okay.
and spend limited time with people that are challenging and difficult.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's take a look at the summer solstice. Do you want to pull it up now, Lauren?
All right, beautiful. We are ready for that summer solstice. Here we go.
So this takes place at 1:24 Pacific on Sunday morning, very early on Sunday morning. And so in the gene keys, you can choose any date, any time that you wish to, any location to find the actual profile for that particular event or situation, or a birth, or your own personal profile. So I'm constantly looking to find these profiles for people and situations. So this is the summer solstice profile for 1:24 a.m. in my town, Victoria, on Sunday morning. And the 15th gene key, as I mentioned, kicks in on Friday, the 19th. And it is the gene key of the summer solstice. And it is the gene key that connects us to the Schumann resonance. And so the first thing I'm going to note is the line 2. The line 2 after the decimal point is the line of the chakra system that we are working with. And this second line is the sacral. So here's the great news. The summer solstice, you'll see if you can read it, it says line 2, dancer. We are supposed to be dancing through this summer solstice in ease and grace, Lauren. So really recognize this is not supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a very easy period of time over the next few days. A really important thing to notice is that when you have the 15 at the top, what that does in the design of the profile, it opens the door into the other solstice and the equinoxes. So the 10th gene key on the right-hand side is the winter solstice. The 25th gene key on the left is the spring equinox. And the 46th at the bottom is the fall equinox. So what this means is on those 4 days in the year, we come into this beautiful sacred container where Mother Earth is holding us through these 4 gene keys. So this is why it's so important for us to connect to that energy. So Kelly's asking a question. We're looking at the gene keys profile for the summer solstice. And I'm just beginning to describe some of the aspects of it through the gene keys. So the 64 gene keys all have 3 levels of energy. One is the shadow frequency, the middle one is the gift frequency, the upper one is the siddhi frequency. So when we were talking earlier, and it's definitely to do with the chakras, thanks Ray, yes. So the lower frequency is when we are getting triggered. It's when we are in that lower aspect of ourself that we can't shed, those blockages that we have. But when you look at your personal profile, it tells you exactly what those blockages are and what you need to do. Then the gift frequency, the middle word, is the word that you are working with in your day-to-day life, where you're feeling your centered, calm, contentment. Then if you're really lucky, the siddhi will descend upon you and you'll feel this sensation that Lauren was talking about earlier, this feeling of peace, of harmony, of bliss, even ecstasy, the rapture, whatever it is. So let's come back to the 15th gene key for a minute then. So the dullness means it's important for you to not rush through life and force things to happen. So we are being asked to spend time with Mother Earth and hold closely to it. Debbie's asking the question about human design. It's a very different perspective. You're correct. It's working with the same gene keys, the same gates, but it's got a very different approach to it. Richard Rudd started in human design and came out of it because he felt it was too intellectual, too academic, and he wanted to make it more heart-centered. So that's what he did when he created the gene keys. Now, the 15th gift of magnetism is when you slow down, you spend time in nature, and you start connecting at a deeper level to the animals, the birds, the creatures, to the land itself, to the plant kingdom, to the trees, and you're connecting into this frequency of Mother Earth. And the city of fluorescence means that when you see all these beautiful flowers that come out on the summer solstice, this is your own inner flowering, your own blossoming. And that's what this energy is all about this weekend. So if you can, get out into nature, spend open-ended time connecting with her. I'll give you my example. I have this gene key in my SQ, and I really struggled with this dullness. So the other day I was walking along the ocean front, and there's a pier and a pole, and this bald eagle landed on top of the pole. Well, I'm a Scorpio, as you are, Lauren, and the eagle is the higher aspect of Scorpio. So now I sit down at this picnic bench and I'm eyeballing the bald eagle, making it a personal connection. Then I remember this dullness, this need to be still and quiet and just wait. So what I decided to do was I was going to stay at that picnic bench until the bald eagle flew off. Mm-hmm. So I gave nature the choice of when our relationship was over. And what was really interesting was the very next time I was walking along that trail, the bald eagle flew down right over my head. So I felt this was a confirmation of my recognition that I needed to do that.
Beautiful. That is so beautiful.
So the other aspect of the summer solstice we need to understand is it's the sun stands still. So if you imagine the sun has been moving through the equinox, moving north, further north, until it stops. And it stands still and starts coming back. So on the summer solstice, it stands still for 3 days. So if you looked at the sunrise or sunset over these 3 days, 20, 21, 22, the sun would not appear to be moving. It would rise and fall in the same place. So in other words, there is this still point, this alignment where nothing is moving. So if you imagine there's a corridor opening up between you and the universe and the earth. So that's why you want to go into this vertical still point, connecting your own inner sun, your heart, to the sun itself. And that beyond the sun is going out into the galactic energies, obviously. And then anchoring that energy down into the earth below you. So you form this vertical, very grounded, still energy for you to benefit from, because you will bring down solar codes to support you in the next phase of your life. So then the 10th gene key is really important, because the 10th gene key is the winter solstice, and this contains within it narcissism. So if you've been exposed to any sort of narcissistic people in your life, it's time to completely clear that out. I've had a number of sessions, mainly women, who've been trapped in narcissistic relationship, and it's really hard to get out. You have to be really courageous to make that move, because you've been demeaned and put down. You've lost a sense of self. And that's what the shadow of the 10th is, self-obsession. You lose a sense of who you are. So again, on this summer solstice, a really important thing to do is to reflect upon, am I still being influenced in my world by any narcissistic tendencies? And of course, many of the bosses in the old world were narcissists. They still are. And that's why we cannot allow ourselves to remain in those situations. The 25th gene key on the left-hand side, the 25.4, now we're in the point 4, is the line 4, is the heart chakra. So this is our deep and profound desire to be of service for the greater good. So we all have that deep in our hearts. But now we've got to realize that the more work I do on myself, the more I'm supporting my community. It's not about being the people pleaser. It's not about going the 100th mile. It's about doing my own inner work and being supportive, but we mustn't do it for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And the 46th gene key is asking this very deep and profound question. Do you feel safe being in a physical body while all this stuff is going on around us? And this relates to the first 7 years of life. Whatever happened to you in those first 7 years, and did you feel safe or did you not? And what has happened since? Do you feel safe today? Because this is the critical piece of getting grounded into this new energy that we're birthing. So we're not wanting to ground into the old 3D because that's over. So now
Mm-hmm.
we're wanting to ground into our own hearts, connected to the fifth dimensional energies. We are returning the Garden of Eden to Earth. We are bringing Shambhala home. And Richard even talks about that in the 15th gene key. This is that moment in time.
Wow.
And you'll
Okay.
notice, again, I love these synchronicities, right in the middle of the profile, the SQ is that 51. So when I talked about 2024, it was the 51 that was the critical gene key, and now it's back in place for us. And remember I talked about the samsaras, they're in the 33, there it is. So you can see how this synchronistically brings it all together. And then the 56 gene key, really important. This is our final contentment in life. Really, really important that you pay attention to whenever you get distracted away from your true mission. It's all too easy in the current world to get distracted. So now we've got to have a real focused intent on what we are here to be. It is an entertaining gene key. So people with this gene key are the people that tend to go on journeys and have adventures and come back and share their stories. But those stories have a point behind them. They're not just stories. They're stories to help us see this bigger picture. So final thing I'll say is the 23rd gene key in the attraction field. This is a really interesting gene key. It's making sure you do not any longer overcomplicate your relationship field. Keep your relationships simple and straightforward, and
Mm-hmm.
take full responsibility for your own unease or discomfort in your relationships. Make sure you don't project out onto other people. Really important.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a very quick going over of the summer solstice profile. And when I do my sessions with people, as you know, Lauren, we work with their own personal profile, and we spend that hour or so looking at all the different elements of their profile to help them see what they still need to release, to get rid of all those lower frequency blockages, to step up into the gifts so they can live their life in harmony and peace and contentment. And then if they're really lucky, one of these higher frequency energies will download into them, and they'll start experiencing this higher frequency of bliss, of ecstasy and joy. And their lives will never be the same again. And you can't make it happen. You can step into the gifts deliberately, but you're preparing yourself for that time when that higher frequency comes down.
All right. Wow.
Okay, so now I'm going to offer you guys the greatest gift I could possibly do. You can take that away now, Lauren. Now, I said that that new moon in Gemini was this clarity of the mind. And on that day, I was just finishing my own ceremonial moment with the new moon. And I went on the computer and I had this amazing insight that came to me, which I really want people to get, because this is really, really important. The most important thing I'm going to say today. And that information came through a brilliant astrologer whose name is Andre Barbo, and he was born in 1921 and died in 2019. He was 98 years old. And he made predictions through alignments of the outer planets, including the collapsing of the Berlin Wall, including the 2008 financial crisis, including the pandemic in 2020.
Ooh.
And so then he came out with this structure, which is upon us, which is now called the Barbo basket. And this Barbo basket is coming into precise alignment between July the 15th and July the 25th. And he said it's the most significant astrological alignment, certainly of this year and possibly of the century. So I'm going to describe it to you. I don't have an image of it, so I haven't been able to find a clear image, but I'll describe it to you. And what is happening is those three outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, are all coming into 4 degrees of the sign that they are in. So they are all forming aspects with each other. And then the most important piece is Jupiter is going to move into Leo, just like Venus has just gone in. Jupiter's going to move into Leo right at the beginning of July, June 29th. And so what's going to happen is Jupiter is going to edge up to that 4 degrees in Leo. So they're forming this structure. So I'll just try and demonstrate it to you. So Jupiter will be in a direct opposition to Pluto, 180 degrees. So that's like the handle of the basket. And then Jupiter is going to go down to Uranus in Gemini at exactly 60 degrees. That's a sextile. And Pluto is going to go down to Neptune in Aries, also at 60 degrees, which means then that if you cross over, they're going to be at 120 degrees to each other. So that's what creates the basket. You've got the handle and you've got these two planets at the bottom with these two angles of 60 and 120. And that's what it looks like, the basket. And this is a sacred geometrical pattern. It's perfectly aligned. It's 180 degrees, 120 degrees, and 60 degrees, all at 4 degrees of their signs. This is what he said it was: a splendid relaunch of civilization.
Ooh.
Exactly. And
Wow, that feels
means,
great.
well, it is great. And what it means is we're going to see this falling apart of the old world so that we can restructure and reorganize the new earth energy coming in. And you can look at each one of them involved to see what they're bringing to the party. So the Jupiter in Leo is all about opening the container, expansion, abundance, shining our light. It's a renaissance. It's a force that changes our collective power, because Pluto is all about power to the people. It's the collapsing of the old system from within, unseating world leaders. Now, one of the things that people may not have fully understood, I've sort of talked about it, but it needs to be really clear, is when we were looking at the collapse of the old world and we were all going goody, 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 what we didn't necessarily fully understand, it was the collapse of our own inner world as well. And that's why it's been challenging for some people, because people feel as if they're dissolving away. Well, they are. We're supposed to be. And some people, it's like really fast and a bit scary. And others, like me, it's very slow and deliberate, thank goodness. But it takes a long time. So we know now that this is the collapse of our own inner world, so we can create the new human. Mm-hmm. We are now getting this phenomenal opportunity. So the Uranus in Gemini is rewiring our mind so that we're going to see things differently and experience things differently, awakening to the truth with a new spiritual identity. And then the Neptune in Aries is dissolving the fear that stood between us and the next version of ourselves. Where we're sort of hanging on by a thread to that old world, thinking it brings the safety and security, which it doesn't.
Mhm.
And so we've got to let that go. But Neptune is now helping us with that illusion to let it go. So this basket then is providing this astrological alignment for our greatest good. It's not going to happen in an instant because, as I said, it's about restructuring, it's reorganizing. It's going to take some time. But we are going to see the death of the old system, the death of those old leaders, and people are going to come in from the people base, from regular people to come in to replace them. And we're already seeing it happening. If you look at what's happening in all of the countries in the world, there are these protests happening, some of which are sadly violent. But it is the people saying, we're not taking this anymore. And what we want is to hold space for the creation of this new earth coming. Now, this is a very masculine basket. They're all masculine, they're all fire and air. So when you look at that, if you think about Neptune in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, Jupiter in Leo, it's all air and fire. So what we've got to do is balance our own earth and water so that we find the balance to the fire and the air. We don't want it to destroy us. So we need to make sure that we are grounded to Mother Earth through nature and spending time either in or close to water. I took my first dip in the ocean this week, which is absolutely freezing. But I know that the water element is really critical in all of this. So embracing the water, either with drinking good quality water, standing in water or under a waterfall, or just imagining that is going to be important. Here's the kicker that, again, I only found out even more recently than last Sunday, and that is there's a second basket. And it's coming in on June 7th, 8th, 2027.
Hey.
And what will have happened by then is the Neptune, Pluto, Uranus will have all moved to 6 degrees from 4 degrees. But now here's the wonderful thing. Jupiter will have moved off, and Ceres is coming in to replace Jupiter. Ceres is the divine feminine. She is a bit like Virgo. She is the nurturer, the harvest, the food supplies, the sustainability, the caregiver, the fertility. So she's coming in to take the place of Jupiter next year. So the way I'm seeing this is we need the masculine to come in and take this on and be the masculine warrior to get all of this opened up and supported. Then a year later, she comes in and blesses us with the sacred feminine energy and leads us into the next level through that heart-centered love. So basically, we've got a year to change the world.
All right, we've got a year to change the world, and it's all about our own sovereignty. It's all about being in nature. It's all about surrendering and really not projecting ourselves onto others. Wow, there's a lot here. I hope everyone will come back and listen to this again because you're going to get a lot of good things out of it. Again, when we take notes, our brain helps to bring this in, ground this information into our awareness. And I want everyone to take notes. I hope everyone's taking notes now. How about a splendid relaunch of civilization? So this is what we have been waiting for. This is why we've incarnated. As it got rough for many people, anyone who wanted to throw in the towel and turn off the lights, it does feel like we've moved past that. Although we still may have some bumps in the road, we now know what to do. This feels so fresh. Wow, it's here. It's here. It's about time. We've been saying that for a while. We're like, come on, it's 2012, and now it's
It's
2020, and now it's 2026.
it's here and now. We've had to be very patient. So one thing I do want to comment upon, because we are the people who are going to be doing this, and that is as this energy comes in, regular people are going to be having extraordinary experiences. I know that just looking at some of the comments, some of us are already having those extraordinary experiences with other realms and other beings and other dimensions. Well, people are going to be having these experiences without having a clue what's going on. And it can be scary because
Hmm.
people are seeing things, they're hearing things, they think they're losing the plot. So, one of the most important roles we've got to play is when people come to us, and they will, having had these experiences, is to just reassure them this is what had to happen. It's part of the journey that you're on to evolve and awaken, and then just hold space for them and let them talk, let them experience what it's like to be close to you, someone who's already in that grounded space. So they can get incredible reassurance from that process by just being with one of us to help them understand what the heck's happening to them.
Hmm. All right, this is a great time for all who are watching. If you have not, even if you have had a reading, a personal profile reading, on the Gene Keys, Peter has an incredible opportunity for you. In fact, he will not raise his prices. He's been told to, and he just doesn't. He loves the price, $111. That is acupuncture session on steroids, what you're going to learn in your personal reading. And I think people should give themselves this gift every year or whenever it feels time is right for you. So, I just want to say how, because this will help us all prepare for when we work with people. We've all known that, okay, so we're new earth leader. What do we do with that? As a new earth leader, we are there to radiate our heart and to help people understand what they're going through, like you just mentioned. And one thing that I've been studying on a separate note that correlates with this, Peter, is so interesting. March, maybe you want to look back at March of 2025. March of 2025, I think it was the equinox, March 21st of 2025. That has been recognized as the official end of the Kali Yuga, the deepest level of that cycle. And so as we move through this cycle, we move the furthest away in that oval ellipse, let's say. So that means we have to go through the Kali Yuga twice, not only getting to the farthest. And it's the farthest we move from God, and it's where we are now. But the good news is that we've moved out of that. We are done with the Kali Yuga. So everything that you're mentioning now is supporting the newness of all of it. And we can talk about Atlantis and Lemuria. And it's not we're returning to Atlantis or we're not returning to Lemuria, but we are merging those two experiences within ourself for that new human that you're talking about. So if we were to take this oval and put it on the face of a clock, this is the golden age at the top, and it goes around, and there's a Kali Yuga here and a Kali Yuga here because it goes to the Kali Yuga and then it comes back in the other way, returning to the golden age. So the Kali Yuga is twice as long as these other two yugas, and the golden era is again twice as long. But right now, so if we were on a clock and we come out of the Kali Yuga, we would be at 7 o'clock. We would be at 7 o'clock on the clock. That means it's only going to get better. So when we look, and the whole reason I bring this up is that if we get so dismayed or, disparaged by what's going on in the world, we just have to realize that we're done with that Kali Yuga. We've been through the thick of it. Does your teachings align with that, or how can you layer on top of it or overlay your teachings to that whole end of the Kali Yuga?
Well, the fact it has ended, and that's why we're not supposed to hang on to anything from it. Whatever suffering we've had, we've got to wipe that slate clean and start again. We can't take any of that baggage with us into this new earth grid. So we've
Cannot
got to
take.
shed it all, and that requires a complete acceptance and forgiveness of all that's happened. It's actually the 25th gene key, which is the spring equinox. Funnily enough, the spring and equinox gene key. So it's letting go of all of those old energies
Yeah.
because we are done. We're finished. But what we do
I'm done.
know, but we do know is it's all been, whether it feels like it or not, a valuable experience to enable us to step into this new earth energy in full consciousness. So we retain the wisdom and experience we've gained, but we let go of any emotional entanglement that it's caused.
Feel into that, everyone. Doesn't that feel great? Oh my gosh. And so, again, this is where you've said, you've given us the instructions, go out into nature, be gentle with ourselves, do not project ourselves, steer our consciousness, know what we want, know how we want to show up on the planet and do it. And don't worry about other people if they're going to make it through that eye of the needle, or if we cannot keep people from their own awakening. I know so many of us want to help our spouses, our family, our children, our loved ones, our friends. We want to just help, but we can't. We have to lead by example, right? And so, okay. So this is where a personal profile reading with you, and I'm going to put the link again in our Zoom chat, and it's on our YouTube channel in the description box. A personal reading from Peter will open your eyes and light a fire underneath you and make you feel confident in your life and really supported by your own stars, your own profile reading, your own gene keys. Peter, share with us what that's like. It's about an hour, but you do this so many times a day for so many people around the world, and you obviously know your stuff quite well. Share with
Yeah.
us what people can expect from a reading.
So what we do is we open the space by inviting people to share what they would like to get out of the session. Then I ask them a few simple questions and I start tuning into their profile and to them. And then I will ask them some questions around what happened to them in certain times in their life to see what we can bring out from the profile where there's some shadow energy that needs to be cleared. And it's amazing how accurate it is.
Mhm.
So, for example, one of the questions I ask is what happened during the age of 8 to 14 when you lost some self esteem? And almost invariably, that person left their safe, stable school and the family moved and they went to a new situation where they didn't know anybody. And our emotional body gets damaged at that point. And that can take us all the way into our adulthood. So we start talking about all those issues in their life that have happened according to their profile and what's happened in their lives. And what it does, Lauren, it brings a great deal of confirmation and validation that they've already done a lot of the work necessary. So they can now understand that I've done this for a specific reason. It also takes the emotional charge out of what did happen, because then you realize this was supposed to happen. This was part of my journey, and I had to learn from it, not get stuck in it. So all those realizations start emerging. And then I start looking at some of the interconnectedness of the different gene keys, because sometimes they'll play off each other. And that will then lead us into the core wound, which is the wound that you're carrying on behalf of your ancestral lineage. And that's a fascinating situation to look at. And the lines of the core wound tell you what the core wound is that you're dealing with. And I'll just give a very quick example. I recently had a situation with a woman who was from Vietnam. And she had the line 1 core wound, which is the most terrifying fear any lineage could have. And one of those fears is being wiped out. Well, when you go back to Vietnam, it's not only the US involvement in Vietnam, but it was the French colonialism of Vietnam. It was the Chinese influence in Vietnam. So anybody from that generation was scared for their life. So she's carrying that in her life today. But then I can say to her, well, it's not yours. It's your family lineage. So now we can clear that wound because she escaped. She lives in America. She doesn't have to have that fear because it's not there. It's an illusion. So that's the sort of level of discussion we can get into according to that person's profile. And then we bring it all out into now you've gone through this deep inner work. How am I going to offer myself in service in the world in the future?
Mhm.
So it gives this very comprehensive overview for that particular 1 hour period. More and more people are coming back for second, third sessions. I'm now doing more couples sessions where we take the profile of the two partners
Wow.
and look at how they merge or don't merge together. And again, so long as they're open and not defensive and not blaming, it works really, really well. So
Wow.
it just gives you a deeper level of awareness of what and why things are happening in your life.
Yes. I just want to say in my own reading that I did with you, you identified something that I've identified as a pattern and why I did certain things in my life with three people, like a three, but I need to be one-on-one with someone. So I noticed these episodes of the three, and it was like, oh, my husband helped me figure that out, and now I know why. Because my gene keys say, I need to be with one other person, not a
Yep.
team.
Yep.
And so that was really very eye-opening for me. And that's what awaits everyone. So if someone wanted to do a reading with their spouse, for
Yep.
example, would they just do it with the same reading, or do they need to buy two, or is it the two for the price of it's them together in one
So
session
we
payment, or
can
is
do
it
it
just
we can do it in different ways according to how deep they want to go. So the
okay,
ideal is to have their own session,
own session
but their
first
partners have their own session, and then come together to look at how it fits together.
so
I
they
can do it.
understand?
I can do it in just one session, but obviously we can't go as deep as we would by having the three sessions.
Because we really want to know ourselves first,
Exactly.
more than just ourselves with another. So that makes
Exactly.
perfect
You've
sense.
got it. That's exactly right.
Okay. Well, again, I want to say Peter is so generous with his time, everyone. He literally dedicates his time and energy and his life to this. How many sessions do you do a day? Oh my goodness.
Well, when I said I was slowing down in January, I have slowed down. So now it's probably about two a day.
Ah,
Not
okay.
every day, because I do have this desire to have my own time
Yes,
and
good. Balance.
spend time in nature. So I would say probably five, because I do on the work on the weekends. So I'd say 5 days a week, two each day, occasionally three. So we'll
Okay.
see how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. We're so excited to have you back, and you have opened the doors for our audience. So I'm going to reach out to everyone if this resonates with your heart. I know it does. You want to be sure to sign up. Again, the price of this is so affordable. It's such a gift for yourself. You're going to have a lot of information come through. So go ahead and register and get yourself booked. There is new dates available. Peter has opened his calendar back up, and you're going to be able to get in for a session. So if someone orders, can they get in a session within a week or so, or a month out?
Well,
What would you say?
I've already had 5 sessions booked up from yesterday's replay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm now into July.
Okay, so go ahead, guys. It's you've heard enough about the summer solstice energies that when you can book with Peter on your personal profile reading, you're going to be ready for the rest of the year and into 27. We know that we are here to be New Earth leaders, and a personal profile reading with Peter will help you understand exactly what you can do in your life to get to the city, the essence of who you are, right? And drop the rest of the baggage already. Oh my gosh. It's time to truly live in our hearts. I love this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for this. Again, the link is in the Zoom link box here in our chat, and we encourage you to check it out. You're going to want to get one of those. All right. Beautiful messages. People highly recommend a session with you. Real highly recommend. Yes. All right. Thank you all for doing your work and for feeling your way into New Earth. It is through the feelings that we do it. Peter, as we wrap up our beautiful show today, I want to thank you for this experience. Again, after the one that we did earlier this year, my life changed. I made changes. And some of the changes that we're going to make is that focused intent. I want to have everyone realize, bring down the solar codes this weekend. Align with that galactic center. Tune in to the sun. Know that you are a star. You're a shining star. So is Gaia, our beloved Earth, and that we have that quarter upon us in 2 days from now. And so we can already feel that energy. So don't overcomplicate your relationships. Take full responsibility for all of it. Connect to your heart, connect to the sun, and enjoy the love that you are. As we say goodbye, I'd like you to just wrap up your thoughts on this whole big picture. You must be optimistic.
Well, it's interesting. Someone just asked the question about the cross of the sleeping phoenix.
Uh-huh.
And the sleeping phoenix is the energy of the next 400 years. And it kicks in precisely in February 2027. And so this is what we're doing. We're going through this process that we've just described. I didn't mention the sleeping phoenix, but it's all part of this. The phoenix is waking up as well. So the dragons are also, I know you do lots of sessions with dragons, and the dragons are also waking up to support us in this journey. So the sleeping phoenix is this big, big energy of the beyond to support us in this next phase. And they will be fully embodied in February 2027. And it comes through the 55th gene key, which is the Age of Aquarius gene key.
So cool. And so if anyone missed yesterday's day one of our quantum conversation experience, you want to watch that because he goes deep into the cross of the sleeping phoenix and
Yeah.
explains it really good.
And
And
just
that
a,
date is listed in the day two or day one
yeah.
episode. So go back and listen to that. Do you know the date next February?
So it will be when the 55.6 is being illuminated by the sun. So it's going to
Okay.
be round about February 24, 25. I don't know exactly yet, but it's
I
going to be
love
about
those.
February 24, 25. It's when we just shift uh, into Aquarius into Pisces from Aquarius.
All right. I hope everyone is feeling the energy of the new earth. And I hope that you too are feeling optimistic. We are here, everyone. Isn't it exciting? Now I understand why people are like, it's so exciting to be alive. And it is when we understand these esoteric concepts, right? That are totally true. And it takes a deep mind to understand it, but we can feel it. And we're here for this. Our soul came here for this. So thank you, Peter. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I want to just
My
give you
pleasure.
a big hug. And I
Thank
want
you.
to remind everyone, get your profile reading with Peter before he books up. Go for that. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for
Blessings,
being
everybody.
here.
Much
Thank
love.
you all.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Love you. And I'm just going to play some music to get us out of here in love and light. So thank you, beautiful hearts. We hope that you are vibrating in love. All right. And here comes our music. Thank you. This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network. Your home. Botched it, but I'm going to start it over. Here we go. Education, and videos. Living from. Okay, there we are. Bye,
This has been a
everyone.
presentation of New Earth One Network.
Bye, everyone. Much
For
love.
New Earth Living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.